Customer Success Convos. Join the biggest names in customer success for a video series that brings together leaders within the field to discuss the latest trends, innovative insights, and most effective strategies within customer success right now. Hosted by Vish Walia. Whether you're new to customer success or a seasoned professional, Vish and his guests will leave you with actionable advice, takeaways, and top tips to enhance your customer experiences.
Vish, very excited. I love this idea. We definitely need to get the word out there for customer success, and yeah, nobody better than Vish to put this on. So thanks for inviting me.
No problem. Thank you. Mark, in the beginning, tell us about your experience at SixFifty, your role at SixFifty, and your previous experience in the customer success space.
Yeah, pretty interesting experience. I started actually at Comcast, and Comcast obviously is a massive organization, but I had the opportunity to create help to develop a small organization within this behemoth and this massive bureaucratic organization that was essentially functioning like a customer success organization for cities and for universities. And I was always in sales before that. I guess I kind of consider myself a reformed salesperson. Not to say that in a disparaging way, but there was always a little bit more that I wanted. And that, yeah, I actually have quite a few interesting things to say about that, maybe a little bit later on. But I kind of got sick of working within a massive organization, even though I did have some autonomy there, and wanted to try my hand at startups. And that's really where I've been ever since. We had a company that we built from zero, took it to $100 million exit, ended up selling to WeWork. WeWork's a fascinating story that, Vish, we could probably have a whole conversation about WeWork and how interesting that story is.
I'm sure.
Yeah, and growing global organizations too. It's been a really cool experience because there's so many different types of cultures and so many different types of individuals in these different cities around the world, and how the customers are and how you have to adapt. And it's been a really cool experience. But ultimately, I wanted to get back down to the roots of what I love. Met with a great guy named Kimball Parker. He was starting this thing from ground up, and it's basically legal software. We're owned by Wilson Sonsini, the law firm out of Palo Alto. And he didn't have any idea how to get this thing off the ground, apart from his legal knowledge, and brought a few of us in, and we're off to the races now. So we're beginning again, Vish.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Mark, I know you are super passionate about building amazing customer success teams from scratch. You just talked about, how you did at, your company. Now, please tell our audience that, what was your experience? What were the key learnings, when you were building those CS teams from scratch?
Yeah, and this is what I was most excited to speak to, and it's really what I like to get into first is it sounds a little morbid, but I call it the kill Mark philosophy.
Kill Mark.
Whenever I start somewhere, I tell them, give me everything. I want support. I want implementation. I want professional services. Obviously, it depends on how large the organization is, but I want to understand, and very clearly, I want to be able to identify every hurdle, every roadblock, every nuance of the organization, of where we're failing, where we can improve. Because when I start building the team, I want to be able to look them in the eyes, the people that I hire, and say, I know that this is possible, and I know exactly when you're going to be overwhelmed. And that allows you to scale, and improvements will be made, obviously. But without me understanding, I've always been a big proponent of leading, leading through any area by first learning and understanding what you're trying to manage to. So I'm a big proponent of that when I start building a team.
Awesome.
Yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. So, if you can share like an example where you took on that, customer success leader role, and what were some of the key things that you ensured, that you follow while building that team? What were those?
Yeah, and so before I make my first hire, if it's small enough, or if you're just taking over an organization that already has customer success managers, you really want to dig in and start taking on some of these accounts, taking on some of the support. If it's from ground zero, if it's from 0 reps, what I like to do is first look at what types of volumes there are, look at all the metrics, analyze those metrics, and where to the point where you are overwhelmed, you start adding headcounts. When I add headcounts, I look for the first 3 people that I hire they have to be as insane as I am. They have to be crazy. What I mean by that is they need to be able to adapt to all kinds of insanity. They need to be able to change roles very quickly, to take on anything. Like when I first started it, well, here, even here or my previous company, one day I was buying snacks at Costco, and one minute I was answering support emails, and the next minute I was renewing a deal, and the next minute I was closing a new deal. So it really comes down to, you've got to hire those people that can roll with the punches, that can accept that there will be change. And then after that, you can start putting in those very specialized customer success agents, those that are buttoned up professionals that know exactly what they're doing, but maybe they don't thrive in that environment of craziness at first. So those are my first headcounts. Yeah.
That's awesome. So does your job description say kill the mark, phenomena, or?
I usually tell them that after I join, just to not scare them off. But
no, fair enough. I love your insights, and you actually pointed on a very critical element of building teams. That is the human element, right? We typically see that we put a lot of focus on strategies, systems, and processes in customer success and customer success operations, and missing out sometimes on the human element. If you can share with our customer success leaders who are watching this episode, that how do you ensure that you give the due importance to the human element while building these amazing customer success teams?
Oh, Vish, this is such a good question. And you're right. It's because processes and methodologies, they all change depending on what you're selling, what you're doing. Like there can be some consistencies, but the common thread is that we're working with people. And especially in customer success, where it's so relationship focused.
Yeah.
You have to focus internally on your own relationships first, meaning, well, here's what I like to do. When I hire somebody, the first week, the first couple of days, I have a full spreadsheet. We go through, we say, listen, I want you to be here and I want you to be happy here. And I don't care if you stay in customer success. I want you to stay here because I hired you because I think you're talented. I think you're a great culture fit. You've already done so much effort, and you don't want people to leave the organization that are of value, that could be a benefit to the organization. So I believe wholeheartedly that focusing on the development of the customer success manager, the development of the person, will lead to them becoming an incredible CS person, or being an incredible, name the role within the organization itself. If it's not a great fit, I'd love to give an example of this. So
Sure.
I have several individuals that have worked for me in the past that they did so much and were so great at working with customers, but also had a little element of sales in them, where they were always driving upsells, or they were always driving the customer to invest in more product or other features that would benefit them. We always do things goal-based, like this would help them fit that goal. They would get frustrated that some of the salespeople would get credit for that, or that it wasn't necessarily them taking it to close, etc. And there was an element missing for them where I felt they would be better as a salesperson. They didn't necessarily love the relationship piece, but they craved the other side.
Yeah.
On the other side of that, there were also salespeople that I've worked with that craved the relationship side. By the way, helpful hint, there are salespeople with a sales foundation that have become some of the best customer success managers because they have sales skills, but they just crave that relationship piece.
Absolutely.
So I guess what I'm trying to say, Vish, is when I meet with my reps, or when I meet with my team, we really try to support each other as best as possible. But I try to go out of my way to make sure that they are getting to the point in their career that they want to get. So we try to do short-term, medium-term, and long-term goals that they have in mind. If those long-term
Nice.
goals aren't in CS, that's fine. But I want to help them get there because they will stay focused. They will give me everything they can for the time they're here. And then hopefully they'll make the world a better place as they move forward.
I love, what you just shared. And, it tells me that it's not just the customer success professional in you, it's also the reformed sales leader that can see that part of the process too, right? So, you guiding salespeople to become customer success and vice versa is such a phenomenal thing, because at the end of the day, this is a continuous cycle of, relationship building, revenue generation, both for your customers and your company. So if somebody has that, skill set and drive to sell, it's better to be in sales. And if they have the drive for that relationship and driving customer success, then customer success is the right fit for it. I also loved, you touched on one of the least talked topic in customer success, that is professional development of customer success managers, right? As a CSM myself, like sometimes it's difficult to, to decide, what's my next step. And customer success, we don't have a lot of options. And I know, in our previous conversation, you talked about that you have developed this professional development system for your team members. So I would really like you to share that what that system entails and how CSM practitioners, like, around the world can benefit from that system.
Love it. Yes. And this is something I'm very passionate about as well, Vish. And it's a secret too. It's a strategy. You can, so when I first come into an organization, I always try to establish very early on, customer success is now the most important department. It's the most important function within the company. Everything stems from that. Customer satisfaction, your annual recurring revenue numbers, renewal rates, everything should revolve around that. And so I want to place as many former customer success agents in as many roles as I possibly can to get that mindset infused into every department. And so that's a little trick that I like to look at it in a different way, where an example is, so when I'm meeting with the customer success reps, when we're talking about their future, short term, medium term, and long term, as I briefly mentioned before, the short term is really focused on, how can you be a better customer success manager or client success manager, whatever you call it. How can you, what are the things you need to work on? Do you need to work on goal finding, or do you need to work on helping the customer through different challenges, et cetera? What is it that you need to specifically work on? Medium term, though, is where do you want to go next, hopefully within the organization? And so we'll focus on professional development in the sense that, I had somebody very recently that was very interested in product development. And so the areas that in a medium term and a long-term focus, it's how can I get you in front of the product team? How can I get you into those meetings? Every step of the way, it's going to get everybody used to having customer success infused into everything. We have eyes and ears everywhere. We want that.
Wow.
And their opinions, we want their opinions in those meetings. And they bring such a great, this better than anybody, Vish, like they have so many insights that they can share, about how the customer sentiment better than anybody else.
Absolutely.
And so each time we put somebody into a position where they can learn more about a potential career path, and ultimately, if they stay in customer success, I'm thrilled. But I had somebody recently that moved over to product management, and she's now a product manager. She's thrilled for the new experience, and there's that culture of customer success infused into that team now.
That's phenomenal.
So really, Vish, hiring people is such a challenge, and you take so much time and effort. You don't want them to just stay a short little while and then leave the company. Like, if you can keep somebody within the organization and keep somebody engaged and have them bring their talents to other areas of the department or other areas of the company, that's an investment worth its weight in gold.
Wow.
So any step I can take to help them to get to another role that would keep them engaged, keep their career progressing. If they want to be in management and customer success, awesome. If they want to try something else, I'm the first person in line to help them to get there. So that's my philosophy, and it's paid off in spades. It really has.
Mark, that's a phenomenal philosophy, right? You are planting the seeds of customer success throughout the enterprise. And, what a way to go, right? Like, instead of, having them limited to customer success, you're saying, open your wings and go to the other areas of the organization, and make sure that you still drive customer success no matter where you go, like which role you take on. At heart, you are still customer success manager. I think that's phenomenal. And thank you so much for sharing these key insights and key learnings. And I'm sure, like, the audience who are watching this episode gonna, make use of, the great golden nuggets that you shared with us today. Guys, thank you so much for the session. And if anyone wants to reach out to Mark Higginson, they can reach out to him on LinkedIn and ask him some more questions about, his professional development system and the strategy that he just shared. And once again, thank you, Mark. It was great chatting with you.
Vish, thanks again. Keep it up. I'm excited to see the rest of these in series.
Awesome.
Thank you so much for watching this episode of Customer Success Convos. That's it for this week's episode. Join us again next time to learn more about customer success tips and takeaways from industry leaders.